Okay, welcome to the deep dive. We've got something really unique today. It's a piece of material sent in directly by one of you.
That's right, a manuscript called My Cursed Heart. And just the title alone. Oh, it tells you we're going somewhere interesting, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It chronicles this multi-generational family curse. A really intense story.
And what's fascinating is how it blends this deeply personal account with, elements of folklore, history, all centered around this alleged curse.
Exactly. And it's not some dusty old text. It's self-published, copyrighted in 2018. It even has cover art credited to it Urgashwampi.
The author notes the characters are fictional, which is an interesting layer, but the narrative itself feels incredibly grounded in this specific family's experience.
Definitely. It kicks off with a really powerful scene. The narrator, Steve Zimkowski, he's at his older brother Francis's funeral.
And the scene immediately hits hard because it mirrors how his father died, and his grandfather, too.
All of them dead at exactly 65. And all from heart attacks that apparently doctors couldn't explain.
Right. No clear medical cause, which, straight away makes you think, what is going on here?
So let's dig into that pattern. The narrator starts connecting the dots. Men on his father's side, age 65. Heart attack. Perfect health beforehand, seemingly.
And the manuscript stresses that point autopsies showed nothing definitive, just unexplained heart failure.
It's the lack of a scientific explanation that really opens the door, doesn't it? It lets that idea of something else, maybe something like a curse, creep in.
Absolutely. So back at Francis's funeral in Cleveland, this is when a memory surfaces for the narrator, something long buried.
Yeah, he flashes back to his grandfather's funeral, decades earlier. He remembers overhearing his grandmother and his Aunt Kate whispering.
Whispering about what?
About a family curse. Just a fragment he caught as a kid, but now, in this context, it takes on a whole new weight.
Wow. Yeah, those little snippets of conversation you overhear sometimes. They can stick with you.
His sister Ivy, she's initially skeptical, which, makes sense. It sounds pretty out there.
Totally understandable. You'd want a rational explanation first.
But as they talk it through, list out the deaths. Grandfather, father, now Francis, all at 65, all the same way her skepticism starts to waver. You can feel her getting concerned.
That's such a human reaction, isn't it? Trying to stay logical, but the pattern, it just becomes too strong to ignore.
So they make a decision. They need answers. They decide to go see Aunt Helen in Smock, Pennsylvania.
She's the oldest living relative on that side of the family.
Exactly. The keeper of the family history, they hope. Maybe she knows something about this supposed curse.
Seeking out the elder. Yeah, that feels like a classic step when you're dealing with family secrets or legends.
And this is where the story just explodes, really. And Aunt Helen tells them the origin.
Okay, I'm ready.
It goes way back.
Yeah.
Late 1700s, Poznan, Poland. Their ancestor, Józef Sienkiewicz.
Okay. Historical context. What was he like?
A successful merchant, apparently. But his life takes a turn when he meets this woman, Anna, in the woods. He falls completely in love.
Uh-oh. Mysterious woman in the woods. Sounds like folklore is kicking in already.
You got it. Joseph's brothers, though, they're suspicious of Anna. Something feels off to them.
Protective brothers. Maybe they sense something Joseph didn't.
Pretty much. They follow her. And the youngest brother, Matthias, he actually sees it. He sees Anna transform.
Transform into what?
Into an old hag.
Yeah.
A Baba Yaga, Aunt Helen calls her. A witch, basically, capable of shape-shifting.
Whoa. Okay, so we're full on supernatural now. Baba Yaga.
Well,
that's deep Slavic folklore.
Deeply unsettling. They confront Joseph, tell him what Messiah saw. He doesn't believe it at first. He's blinded by love, right?
Denial makes sense. Hard to accept something like that about someone you love.
But they convince him. They arrange it so Joseph sees her transformation himself.
Oh.
And he does. He sees the real Anna.
That must have been horrifying. The betrayal, the sheer impossibility of it.
Absolutely. And fueled by that horror, that fear, Joseph, his brothers, and some soldiers, they capture Anna.
And what happens then, given the time period?
Exactly what you'd expect, sadly. She's accused of witchcraft. There's a quick trial by a military tribunal. And she's sentenced to burn at the stake.
Ugh. Harsh times. Witch trials were brutal.
Brutal. And as she's burning, Anna screams out this curse.
Here it comes.
She curses Joseph and all his male heirs, every single one, destined to die at age 65 from a heart attack.
Wow. Just like it's been happening.
Precisely. But the women in the family, they're spared death. They're cursed to live and watch the men suffer and die.
That's incredibly cruel, a specific kind of torture.
And she gives it this sort of poetic pronouncement. And Helen remembers the words, I covet the heart from your chest. When you turn 65, you'll be laid to rest.
Stealing.
Your male descendants will show your fate. Only a woman's heart can this curse break.
Wait, hold on. Only a woman's heart can this curse break.
That sounds specific, potentially important.
Extremely specific. We'll definitely circle back to that. And she finishes with, so mote it be. Classic witchy sign-off. So mote it be. Yeah. Okay, so Aunt Helen confirms this isn't just a story. It's been playing out for generations.
Yes. Men dying at 65, no medical answers. She even mentions this tradition where mothers tell their daughters-in-law about the curse when they marry into the family.
So it's known. It's this dark cloud hanging over them, passed down. Wow.
And one more creepy detail. Aunt Helen mentions Joseph's great-great-great-grandmother, Susanna. At her husband's funeral, one of the cursed men, she saw two strange women watching from a distance.
Don't tell me.
Just like the scene described at Anna's execution centuries before. It suggests Anna's family, maybe other witches, are still around, watching, monitoring the curse.
Well, okay, that adds a whole other layer. It's not just a magical effect. It's being overseen. That's terrifying.
So the siblings, they need more. Something tangible. They go to the Smock Historical Society.
Looking for records, proof.
Kind of. And they find something. A photograph from their grandfather's funeral, and in the background, near the trees, two shadowy figures, matching the description Aunt Helen gave of the women Susanna saw.
No way. Actual photographic evidence. Or something that looks like it.
Something that looks very much like it. They get the negative, use the narrator's work connections.
Yeah.
He's got a photo department to blow it up, enhance it.
Okay, getting clear.
And that's when the narrator gets a massive shock. He recognizes the younger woman in that old photo.
Recognizes her from where?
From his brother Francis's funeral. Just recently.
Yeah.
She was there, watching, along with another, even younger woman. And they were smiling slightly.
Oh, come on. That is deeply unsettling. They're present, they're still watching and smiling.
Right. So obviously this changes everything. They decide they need professional help. They hire a private investigator.
Makes sense. Someone who can dig into this without, being family.
Her name's Adele Torres.
Huh.
And crucially, she apparently has an interest in paranormal investigations.
Well, that's handy. Probably the right skill set for this particular job.
Adele then consults an expert, a Professor Richard Hogue, who specializes in the occult.
Okay, bringing in the academic perspective, what does Hogue say?
He basically confirms their fears. Says it's plausible they're dealing with witches, talks about connections to dark energy, shape-shifting lore, the whole thing. He even mentions the common pairing, an older witch training an apprentice.
Which fits the two women seen at the funerals, the older and younger figures.
Exactly. So Adele decides to track them down. She actually finds them, Alwina and Tiziania Spellman, near Franklin Castle in Cleveland.
Franklin Castle, isn't that supposed to be super haunted?
That's the one. A fitting location, man. Anyway, the encounter doesn't go well.
I can imagine.
The Spellman women are furious she's investigating.
Yeah.
They start speaking some strange language Adele doesn't recognize. She even uses a protective amulet.
An amulet? Where did she get that?
Apparently from someone described as a white witch, and Elizabeth Mishia, who had given it to her previously.
Okay, so we've got potentially bad witches, maybe a good witch,
Yeah.
amulets. The whole magical conflict is brewing.
It seems like it. And as Adele leaves, Tiziani, the younger one, gives her this parting shot. She says they would continue with what they were sent here for.
Ominous. Confirms they have a mission, and it involves this family. Zero doubt now.
Zero doubt. So the narrator gets back to Cleveland. Big meeting. Him, his siblings, Adele, Professor Hogue.
The whole team, what's the plan?
Professor Hogue repeats his assessment. The witches are there to make sure the curse continues. He strongly advises against confronting them directly. Says it's too dangerous.
Probably wise. If they're powerful witches.
Yeah. He gives them all protective amulets, similar to Adele's, but mostly it's a warning.
So the narrator, he's facing his own 65th birthday soon, right?
He is. The clock is ticking. He has this heavy conversation with his younger brother, Eric, about their fate, about making sure their families are taken care of. It's bleak.
Understandably. What else can they do?
Well, the narrator tries something. Professor Hogue recommended a book with rituals. He attempts this water and sea salt cleansing ritual, hoping to break the curse himself.
Did it work?
No, nothing happens. Seems like it was a long shot anyway.
Yeah, if it were that easy, someone probably would have done it generations ago.
True. And then comes another chilling encounter. He's at the airport. Alwina Spellman, the older witch, just appears.
Ugh, they're everywhere. What did she want?
She tells him they know he tried the ritual, that it was pointless. And she reaffirms the curse. It holds. For him, for Eric, for all future male descendants. Total determination.
Just reinforcing their power and his helplessness. That's psychological warfare, too.
Definitely. So, feeling cornered, the narrator decides he has to tell his daughters about the curse, everything.
How do they take it?
They don't crumble. Instead, they get angry, determined. They vow they'll find a way to break it. They won't let it continue.
Wow. The next generation stepping up. That's a powerful moment. A shift in hope, maybe.
A potential shift, yeah. But the immediate reality is still grim. The narrator struggles at work. The deadline looms.
And then the unexpected happens.
Completely unexpected. His sister, Jennifer, she collapses. Massive heart attack.
His sister. But she's a woman, and she's not 65, is she?
No, she's only 60. And yes, she's female, so supposedly not a target of the curse's lethal effect.
So what happened medically?
They diagnose her with something called spontaneous coronary artery dissection, SCAD. It's rare, involves a tear in a heart artery, and often hits healthy women with no typical risk factors.
SCAD. Okay, so a terrible, tragic event for the family, but seemingly unrelated to the exact terms of the curse.
That's what it looks like initially, just more heartbreak. But then the narrator starts thinking about the exact words of Anna's curse. That line Aunt Helen remembered, he says, it's like an inner voice kept repeating it.
Only a woman's heart can this curse break.
Bingo. He starts to wonder, could that be it? Could Jennifer's heart attack, her woman's heart being afflicted, even though she wasn't a male descendant dying at 65, could that have somehow fulfilled the escape clause?
A loophole, based on the precise wording.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating interpretation. A real long shot, maybe, but
But it's the only hope he has. He finds Alwina and Tiziani again.
confronts them, after Hoag warned him not to.
He does, but not aggressively. He just lays out his theory, explains how Jennifer's heart attack, her SCAD, fits the condition. A woman's heart breaking.
And how do they react? Do they laugh at him, attack him?
Neither. They listen. And according to the manuscript, they just vanish. Gone. Never seen again.
Vanish. Just like that, implying he was right.
It certainly seems that way. Their disappearance suggests the condition was met, the curse was nullified, their purpose there was finished.
Wow. So the curse wasn't broken by magic or a counter ritual, but by a tragic medical event interpreted through the curse's own fine print.
That seems to be the conclusion the narrator reaches. He goes back to the hospital. Jennifer remarkably begins to recover. Slowly, but she pulls through.
And the narrator, does he reach 65?
He does. The manuscript ends with him reflecting years later, past 65, healthy, watching his sons and grandsons grow up, free from the shadow that hung over the family for centuries.
What an incredible story arc, from 17th century Poland to modern medicine providing an unexpected escape clause.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've journeyed through this manuscript detailing a centuries-old curse, seemingly stemming from betrayal and witchcraft.
Which dictated a very specific fate for the male heirs, death at 65. A fate observed, possibly even enforced, by descendants of the original witch.
Until this completely unforeseen event, a sister's rare heart condition seems to inadvertently satisfy the curse's own escape clause. It's this amazing mix of folklore, family history, medical mystery, and, well, interpretation.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the power we give to family stories, to inherited beliefs. How much is real? How much is psychological? Could there be things science just doesn't have a handle on yet? What part of this resonated most with you?
For me, it's that loophole. The idea that the answer was embedded in the problem all along, just waiting for the right circumstances, the right interpretation. It's kind of mind-bending. So, for you listening, here's something to chew on. Does hearing this make you look any differently at your own family's stories or patterns? Do you think belief itself can shape reality? Or is this just a fascinating coincidence layered onto a tragic family history?
Yeah, how do narratives like this shape how we see the world? It might even spark some curiosity. Maybe you want to look into the history of witchcraft beliefs or curse folklore or even the real medical condition, SCAD. Lots to explore.
Absolutely. Reflect on those unusual family tales. Until our next exploration, keep diving deep.